Hi, my name is Lucy. Hi, my name. Hi, my name's Lucy Belgum, and I'm a screenwriter. What made me want to become a writer? So I'm a director, primarily, and I started writing just because it was very hard to find projects that really spoke to me as director. Usually there were things that were just off about them. So when I was younger, I was like, okay, I guess I'll write a script. And now that's snowballed into I do a lot of writing. I went to Sheridan College for 3 years doing the media production course, studied cinematography, studied directing, and then never touched a camera again after that. Worked for a few years doing production design for commercials for places like Google, Spotify, Cougar Life, and a bunch of other places. And then realized I could never get taken seriously as a director or writer by doing that because they like to pigeonhole you. Then a pandemic happened, had a gender crisis, changed it up a bit, spent most of the pandemic writing with various partners, wrote a couple horror films together. Ironically, a lot of the people I worked with all had gender crises, so I feel like we just kind of gravitated together. It's been very amusing. Yes, I have a TV pilot that's been developed for the last 6 years. We shot 3 different pilots for it, so it's come a long way. It's currently under review by CBC. That I'm very proud of, especially to see how it's evolved and how my writing's changed over the years. Sure, usually it starts with an idea, and I get very scatterbrained, so I'll write one-pagers the moment I have an idea. I have a PowerPoint that's just, I think I have 50 or 60 one-pagers on there, just so later on I can come back to it. And I have it organized into TV shows, miniseries, feature films, short films, all that kind of stuff. But then I like to beat sheet stuff out. If I can't figure it out, I'll usually go do something else, come back to it eventually. Currently I'm still dealing with the beat sheet for a current project that's been kicking me for a month now. Then I'll jump into a scriptment, which is kind of like a treatment, but I'll do scene headings and then just detail that scene. Just so when I get bored or stressed or I can't do a scene, I can just jump somewhere else. So I don't have to write the thing in chronological order. And then it's also nice to know where I'm going. So I can be scene 1 starts here, ends here, fill in the blank. Just helps me with my organizational process. Then I'll usually do a couple script reads, ideally one with people that know writing and one with people that are just my target audience. Because as much as I love other filmmakers, most of the work we do is not going to be sold to just filmmakers, and capitalism is everywhere, so I have no choice. Dealing with executive dysfunction, that kind of stuff with writing is the hardest. Finding that motivation to actually just sit down and get it when your brain's there's always a lot on the go, especially in the last few years. Especially this last year, I have not had a moment of peace, and it has made writing very difficult. I kind of have 2 here because one of them is not officially a franchise yet. I'd love to work on, assuming the new Dungeons and Dragons movie goes well, I would love to work in that world because I love Dungeons and Dragons. I think it's a great writing tool. You can test out plot lines with your friends and stuff. Outside of that, there's an English author called Terry Gilliam, who sadly died a few years ago. He co-created Good Omens, which is on Amazon and doing very well. And he has this series called Discworld that I've been exposed to as a child. It's 36 novels. There's no order. You can just pick up any one and you're good. And I would love to see that properly adapted someday. It's just very funny English writing, very tongue-in-cheek, a lot of critique on things that, he was writing in the 80s. In his world, all dwarves are non-binary. He didn't use the words non-binary. He just made it so that until they're 50 or 60, they don't know who's a man or a woman. So there is no distinction, because everyone's just hairy. And that kind of stuff I loved as a kid. I really gravitated to it without realizing why. And now I'm like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I'd love to do long-running TV show, animated fantasy that is aimed at adult audiences, not a children's thing. Think Archer, Family Guy, American Dad, but taking on fantasy tropes, adventure, kind of like how you see shows like Adventure Time or Owl House that have really been embraced by adults as well as children, that kind of thing. And that's just because those are the kind of worlds I love, and I know the chance of me getting a live action version of that is slim to none. My favorite movie is Hook with Robin Williams. A horribly flawed movie, but I love it nonetheless. And my favorite show is American Dad. I just love the absurdist humor.